recently started some basil seeds for the first time, and their progress has been mediocre at best. I know gardening isn't about instant gratification, but I find that it can be hard to be patient with a new project that I'm excited about. So I often find myself wondering if there's anything I can do to help them. Maybe they're not getting enough sun. Or maybe they're getting too much sun. With a lot of things in life, it can be hard to tell if you're doing something right or wrong when the thing you're doing doesn't have the ability to communicate with you. Gardening can be one of those things too. Well, kind of. People always talk about having a green thumb. And for me, I think having a green thumb really means that you just know the language of plants. Because I do think plants communicate with us. I've done my fair share of Googling when one of my plants looks like it's on its deathbed. And of the countless articles that I've read, it is pretty clear that plants have some telltale signs when they're trying to communicate something. Now, what exactly they're trying to communicate is the tricky part. I think sometimes as humans, we take for granted the ability to communicate in the ways that we do. Not only do we have language, which is super efficient, but we also have body language. We also have written communication. We have communication through emotions, through music, through food. Humans have access to such a variety of ways to communicate with each other. And with plants, who's to say if that's the case? My plant can't tell me if it's had too much water today. So you have to be pretty observant and get crafty in figuring out other ways that you can really identify what your plant's needs are. And it can be done. I mean, look at the back of any seed packet. Those growing instructions, those light preferences, those water preferences, the soil depth. Not only does that come from experimentation, but it comes from meticulous observation of those plants over years and years and years. Many people took the time to watch those plants, to look at the plants and to try and understand them. And they were thinking, okay, what is this plant trying to tell me? And thanks to those people, we now have a lot of general information about specific plants and what their needs are. But at a certain point, it's up to you to figure out who your plant is. Now the seeds that I started in these egg cartons didn't turn out too well. It's been about 2 weeks at this point, and I've really only seen progress in the catgrass, which, not gonna lie, I was expecting it would be the easiest to grow. That's bad results, that's bad germination. And while I was trying to adhere to a more strict seed starting regimen this year, it clearly wasn't enough, so I must be missing something. And I think I figured out what it is. It turns out that the way you water your seedlings is actually crucial to how they end up growing. I have only ever had a watering can, so the process for me just looks like filling up the watering can and watering my seedlings. However, I recently came across a bit of information that was saying that the best way to water your seedlings is by bottom watering them. Since I was planting in egg cartons, I couldn't bottom water in the first place because the water couldn't really get into the egg cartons without just collapsing them. But it turns out that bottom watering is really beneficial for training your roots to grow downward to seek water. After most waterings, the water seeps down into the soil below the surface level. It's the surface level that often dries out the fastest because it's exposed to the sun. And when you're only top watering your seedlings, plants don't try super hard to grow their roots downward because all of the moisture that they need is right there on the surface, which isn't reflective of how they would live outside. So with all of that said, that's why I picked up some new seed starting trays, as well as a tray to place them all in while I bottom water all of the seedlings. A hummingbird. Hummingbirds are so cool. I don't remember which variety of kale that I planted, but one of my plants, the outer leaves is starting to turn blue, and I think that's a good sign. I think that means that It's finally starting to grow in the way that it's intended to. Sun golds are looking good too. I'm under the impression that you're supposed to pick off the flowers in the early stages of growth to try and maximize the amount of leaves that it can grow initially. I think the flowering and fruiting stage is usually prioritized last. So I'm going to go through and pick off the flowers that I can see and hope that that contributes a little bit of energy towards the actual leaves of the tomato plant rather than little baby tomatoes. A little bit of a garden update. The onions are looking good too. I had a similar problem with my carrots where I didn't know when I planted them. I don't remember when I got these onions. I don't remember when I planted them. So that kind of poses the problem as to when to pull them. I've eaten a couple of them as green onions and those are really good. But of course I think my overall goal is to get an actual onion. I can see a bit of red at the base of the stems here, which makes me think that I got red onions. So hopefully in due time those will mature and I'll have some actual onions that I can eat. I have a little bit of a secret that only my friends know. It's a really, really personal secret. It's very important. I hate leaf blowers. I hate leaf blowers. I hate leaf blowers so much. I hate lawnmowers. I hate leaf blowers. I know it's an amenity for some people. Some people like it. They're like, oh, my grass is too long. Please cut my grass and I'll pay you money for it. Well, let me paint you a picture. I walk outside this morning. The grass outside my windows is beautiful. There's even little tiny pink flowers. I think they're clover flowers that were blooming. I'd never seen them before. It was great. I thought, wow, isn't nature amazing? Isn't that incredible? And then somewhere, the lawnmower gods came down and said, stupid, and then cut all of them down. Not 20 minutes after I discovered them, not 20 minutes after I went outside and saw them, gone. I don't really know why I'm ranting about it. It's not a huge deal. I mean, if you're a bee, then it's a huge deal, but I'll save that for a different video. I think at the end of the day, it just bums me out. Did you know that leaf blowers put out more carbon emissions than a gas engine? Did you know that a leaf blower puts out more carbon emissions than a gas engine? What I like about gardening is feeling peaceful. It's just a shame to cut down things that are useful. You know, bees use the flowers. It's useful to let the lawn grow because that becomes fertilizer once the lawn dies. It enriches the soil. It helps improve the soil quality. I'll get off my soapbox. I think I need to go to the bookstore soon because there's actually a book that I've been meaning to pick up. It's about permaculture. I think the more that I've been experimenting with gardening and trying things out, the more that I've realized that there are a lot of different styles and philosophies and theories and ways to garden. Permaculture kind of struck my eye just because I found myself being just a little bit dissatisfied by like planting in rows and spacing things out super evenly, or having a vegetable garden that has no other room for things like flowers, which can be really helpful. So I've been really wanting to learn more about that and to see if that would maybe suit some of my desires for gardening, I suppose. But thank you so much for watching, and if you're not subscribed already, please do so. Share this video with a friend if you have any gardener friends, and I'll see you next time.